Welcome to the She Heals the World talk show with Dr. S, the place to hear stories of heart-driven women creatively living free. Our episodes highlight conversations and insights that support the values of self-care, creative and personal freedom, slower living, happiness, health, and wellness to help you live your absolute best life. To be a part of the movement and join the conversation, step inside our free Facebook group, She Heals the World, and say hello. It brings me great joy to bring you our next episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the She Heals the World talk show today. I am really excited to have a very special guest, Kelly Cohen, joining us today. She is a certified holistic health coach and private chef who uses a creative approach to wholesome, clean eating and lifestyle, as her practice is rooted in the belief that healthy eating patterns are the best medicine. On her wellness platform, My Organic Diary, she shares innovative recipes and mindful advice to promote their benefits on the mind, body, and soul. Kelly, I hear you are joining us from Montreal today. Welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be on the show today.
Why don't you just kick us off and tell us how you got started in this work?
So I moved to New York City from Paris in 2012. And after moving, I kind of got sick. I got sick from the food. I got sick from, just I think the environment. And at first, I couldn't understand why. Because, I'm from France. In France, we used to eat, to drink, to live fully. And in New York, I felt like I wasn't doing anything really differently. But I got sick. I had stomach issues. I had anxieties. I gained weight. And that's when I started really looking into having a healthier lifestyle. And I did my research. I really started learning, buying books and really searching for more info. And, the more you look into it, the more you find and the more you become curious about it. So what happened is after that, I started baking and cooking way more and using different ingredients, like almond flour, like coconut oil, avocado oil. And this is back in 2012. In 2012, let me tell you, this was not easy to find almond flour.
Yes. I can relate.
It wasn't. Today you go to the pharmacy, you have almond flour. Now, in 2012, I used to go to Whole Foods and it was always out of stock and it was very expensive.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's when I started my blog. So my blog actually started a few years later when I really discovered kind of a passion for health and wellness, but also food and cooking and baking. So I started my Instagram first and posting recipes and posting pictures of food and what I was baking. And my friend used to tell me, why don't you share your recipes? Why don't you create a blog? And I was like, actually, that's a good idea, but I didn't know anything about, online media or having a website. I didn't know anything, I was so clueless. So I started my blog on a platform, then I switched to another one, then another one again, because I was so clueless that I didn't know what was the best. I didn't know where to start,
Yeah.
And at the time, I was working in publishing for a newspaper, but I wasn't making a lot of money. So I couldn't, hire someone to build my website. I had to do everything by myself.
Right.
And that's how My Organic Diary started. And a few months after it started, it got honestly a great success. I went from 0 followers to 10,000 followers in I would say less than a year.
Wow.
And it grew really, really fast. And I started getting more attention and contacted by brands, it really started building up into something. And at the time I met my husband, and my husband really, really encouraged me to push this forward because he saw I was actually very happy and good at it.
Yeah.
So then what happened is that I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start doing some catering. So I started doing some catering for families, doing some meal plan and, working into this. And, living in New York is really, really hard to actually carry groceries when you don't have a car and when you have to take the subway and when you have to spend an hour to do 30 streets, So I was like, I can't do this. I I can't, it's not possible,
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so then I found INN, it's just, like it just happened. I don't even know how I found them, but I did, I discovered them, and my husband was very supportive. He told me you should do it. And what I really, really loved about studying there is that the program was online, and also it gave me so much knowledge and so much curiosity to just develop my abilities and to just develop what I loved.
Yeah.
And so then I started working a little bit more in like corporate and doing some coaching 101, and my blog started going towards, like more wellness instead of just recipes, and my Instagram too, like in more like advice and just giving tips. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I moved to Montreal a year and a half ago, and my business really took off here. It actually, like in New York, I had a really, really big community, but I found that my business really took off in Montreal because maybe the market is less saturated, and maybe, like I really found my niche. I really, I was more also confident to contact brands and to reach out. And, I was more also ballsy, like, let's say,
Right.
yeah, to be
You know,
honest,
it gave you the confidence. I have, you just shared so much, and I have so many questions about your journey there. Even going all the way back to the whole switch with the almond flour. And this is like totally a selfish question, and I hope this benefits my listeners in some way, but this is just my own thing. So when I went to France, I also noticed that like I can't really eat as much bread in the US, but when I went to France, I binged on like all kinds of carbs and breads and everything, and I didn't gain a pound. And so
Yeah.
I'm wondering, if you were in France still, do you feel like you would still be doing like a lot of gluten-free stuff, or do you feel like you just have to do that now that you're in the US and Canada?
So what's crazy is that what you're saying is so, so true. Like in France or in Europe in general, because the big, big difference is that, for example, in Europe, you go buy your bread, your baguette that has been made, that has been baked like an hour before,
Mm-hmm.
like what is it? It's yeast, flour, salt, water. That's it.
Mm.
You go to the supermarket here, like even like let's say a pretty good supermarket that sells like fresh bread, like it's not 5 ingredients. You read the label, it's like 15 ingredients,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I agree completely. Like when I go to Europe, which I go pretty much every summer, I eat like crazy. I eat anything I want, but
Mm.
I don't gain weight and I feel great, because I
Yeah.
know what I'm eating is good. What I'm eating is fresh. What I'm eating is like made by a baker. It's made, by like, like you buy your meat or your fish at the butcher, you don't buy, like processed, packaged fish or
Right.
chicken. So this
Right.
makes a difference. But the problem is today, Europe is kind of losing this. This is what is so
Uh,
charming about Europe, but like they want also like now what you find in the US is also available in Europe. It's becoming more and more available. So
yeah.
you have to be careful to not, to just like go to like very artisanal local places. I think that's really matters, when you travel. And I think also that's the experience you want to have when you travel.
Absolutely. I love that. I do think that the most important thing that you can do, like you said, is like shop locally and pay attention to where these ingredients are coming from. Look at where they have sourced the ingredients. Is it farm to table? Is it fresh? Is it made the same day? Because it really does make a difference in how you feel in your body. And, I asked that question because I think if you were still in France, and I know you made the transition here, but I'm wondering when you were there, like, what did you think you were going to be doing since there wasn't really a huge need for the food? I guess the food entrepreneurship or the food movement wasn't as huge over there. What did you want to be when you grew up?
So no idea. I, I would be lying if I told you I had everything planned. I had
Mm,
no clue, no clue, no clue. When I
mm,
was 10 years old, I wanted to be a teacher.
yeah.
Because I loved animals, I wanted to be a vet. But you
Mm,
know, but like growing up, I just went to a marketing school because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and
Yeah.
marketing was pretty much so vague and so everything, that I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
But I had no idea I would ever be working in something food related or health related, because that's just not the way I grew up. Like I grew up eating potatoes, cheese, and carbs, at most meals, because my mom is Polish and that's what she had in Poland. So that's what she was making at home.
Mm.
I didn't eat cauliflower before I was 21. So you
Right.
see, it's just like I had nothing figured out. I had nothing, and
Yeah.
still now, like now I actually just went back to school, and until like a few months ago, I was like, I don't know if social media is going to be my whole life. I don't know if I
Right.
want that.
Right, right. Well, it's interesting that you say that because I was also curious to find out about the first program that you got into, which was IIN,
Yeah.
and what your experience was with that. There are like thousands of grads and many people who have had beautiful experiences with IIN, and some who could have wanted more and some who really felt like they thrived in the program. And so I guess what was your experience there, and do you feel like it gave you a good foundation to do the work that you're doing today?
I think for me it was like the genesis. It
Mm,
was like it was the beginning of everything, in a
mhm.
way. I feel like my blog, and it was like, yeah, it was the beginning of everything, but not career wise. It didn't, like, Einan really put me on the path I want to be. Like it really, because you study a lot. You study nutrition, but not only nutrition. It has like it's so many different aspects, of life. But I was like, okay, nutrition is my thing. This is really what I want to be doing. This is really how I want to help people, because this is really something that passionate me, that I really love. So
Yeah.
for me, it was just like the start of what of like the path I want to be on. So I'm very, very grateful I could attend INN, and everything I got from it, like all the resources and the contacts. And it's such a big community, it's such an amazing community. Like so many people did INN, and like everyone is so nice and helping each other, and it's just like it's such a beautiful community, and I'm so happy to be part of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's awesome. Well, I know that in the building process, we wish that everything could go amazingly well, but such is life. Everything is not perfect in life, and we sometimes experience hurdles that we never thought we would have to deal with. And so, this may roll us into some of the tips that you have for us today on dealing with an emotional setback in business. But I'm just curious for you, as you were building this whole movement that you've created, what hurdles did you have to overcome in the building process?
Oh my God, so many. And listen, when you're an entrepreneur, it's an everyday fight. Like you can't, you're fighting every day, and fighting doesn't mean something in a bad way. It's also like fighting is good, but every day is like you have, you need to get it. You need to fight for what you want.
Mm,
And if you don't, someone else is gonna get it. Um so I got so many emotional setbacks. So many times I wanted to give up, and I wanted to just, like, I w- as I even looked for a job a year ago. I was looking for a job because I can't do this. This is too much pressure. This is too much for me. It was very frustrating on one side, because I felt I was capable of really building my business and pushing it forward. But on the other hand, I was like, it's too stressful.
mm,
And so a few ways and a few advice I could give is, when you really feel that you can't take it anymore, it's too much, take a few days to reset. Just take a few days to reset. Sometimes you just need to disconnect. You just need to take a step back from a project. You just need to have a fresh look after 24 hours, 48 hours. Sometimes for me, it really helped me. Sometimes I was almost, I was close to the burnout, because I had so much work going on and so much project. And I felt like I was always, always like not keeping up, So taking a step back really helped me. So this is what one of the things I could say.
Mm,
And something else is, you don't ask, you don't get.
mm,
That's you don't ask. You For example, I contact brands all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. I contact brands. I tell them I want to partner with them. I want to do a collab, and then I send them my rates, and never answer.
mm,
And it happens all the time. It does. For 10 brands I contact, maybe I have one or two that I sign with, like, but if I didn't ask them, if I didn't ask the 10 brands, I wouldn't get the two contracts.
yeah.
So it's really, and I feel like in this process you really have to put your ego on the side. You really have to, like, don't take it personally when someone doesn't answer you. Don't take it personally when someone says no. Don't take it personally when someone tell you you're too expensive.
Yes.
It's yeah.
It's
And
part of the journey. Yeah.
it is, it is. You know, I wasn't prepared to be an entrepreneur. I was not. I was really not. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I should do. I didn't know anything, And I really wish at the time someone told me, that I'm going to fall, and I'm going to fall super hard. But
Mm,
then I'm going to bounce so much higher,
yes. Yes.
you know?
And it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
I think I love the encouragement that you just gave everybody about the business journey. But I also know from our own conversations offline that there were some personal challenges that you experienced as well in your personal life that really could have affected your business. And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but if you are comfortable, would you mind sharing some of the personal challenges that you've experienced as you're trying to balance family and creating a family and building a business, and how all of that might have really kind of either built you up or maybe even at some points discouraged you from getting started?
So yeah, the truth is I've been trying to get pregnant for 3 years already, and it's been a very, very long journey. It's been a very long and painful journey for both myself and my husband, and it's been a lot of doctor's appointment and lots of discouragement and lots of crying. So obviously, it's really hard to keep up with life when you're going to something that hard, and when you feel like your life is breaking up in pieces. So for me it was really challenging to keep up with my business, and especially on social media. Like, I didn't always want to share, and didn't always want to open up about it, and not it's really hard to show like the face of someone who's like doing okay, and who's talking about product, and who's cooking, and who's like, because when you're kind of a public figure, you need to be presentable. Like, it's
Mm,
okay if you don't look great one time, twice, but when you talk about a product, like, obviously you want to, like, share, like, your engagement. You want to share, like, your passion.
yeah.
Like, so it was really hard to be on one side really authentic,
Mm,
but on the other hand, focused on myself enough that I was like taking the time to grieve and to focus on myself.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was it's a very challenging time, like, to be an entrepreneur, and to be like sharing your passion, and to be like, also, I have a great community, and people ask advice from me, and people like reach out to me, and people like so supportive. But for a long time I wasn't open to talk about it, because it felt so personal, and I wasn't ready to have people commenting on,
Hmm.
and people giving advice. So this was also very hard, because I share on one hand, I share all natural product and being organic and being healthy, but on the other hand, I have to take some hormones and take some shots, that are very, very aggressive.
Mm,
So it's hard to really balance it out,
mm,
but I feel like I made it. I did it. I went back to school. I brought my business to another level. I found some happiness within the process.
yeah.
And also, like, even if I didn't open up completely about my story, I'm I feel like, and it's weird, I feel like women who went through the same thing, even if I didn't share about it, they reach out, like it's just like there is this secret, like supportive, like spirits, that just, like, and yeah, it's been, honestly, it's I can't wait to really share my journey and to really help other, because that's really something I want to do.
Yeah.
But I also, when you're like a public figure, when you share your life on social media, you need to be ready to face negative comments, to face, like aggressivity, to face,
Yeah.
so I didn't do it because I wasn't ready,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know
That's a really good point. And I think, I really appreciate you sharing that with us because I also, from my perspective, when I'm coaching many women who are building their business, there is this need where they feel like they cannot have a real life, where they're looking at everybody's social media feeds and they think everybody's perfect and nobody's struggling. It's the business coach who might have a low month one month, or it's the health coach who might slip up and eat pizza or binge on pizza for a weekend, or she gained 5 pounds or whatever. And
yeah
and I think in the age of Instagram, we forget that these are real people, and that even though we all have brands, we all also have real struggles. And you don't have to share everything with everyone, but if you come to a place where you feel like it's going to serve and support someone and you've been called to do that, then that's okay too. But I'm so about like dismantling this facade of perfection, with
yeah
coaches and
it's
women
so
entrepreneurs.
it's just so it's so true. And also, people think that, I used to get laughed, like people used to laugh at me when I would say that I have a blog, and I post on Instagram, and like, and because people think it's like actually super easy, it's super easy to like to always like be online, and it's not, like sometimes I just want to disconnect. I just want to put my phone down and enjoy a night with my husband without sharing my dinner and when I ate, and what I, like it's just, so I try to do that more and more. I really try to disconnect and to spend like quality time. I really try to balance it out, but it's hard, and especially at the beginning when you start, because you want to post so much, you want to be so active, and you want to have so much response. But then you realize that it's actually, what? If I take a night off, it's fine, It's
Mm,
not, it's fine.
yeah.
And but it takes time to realize that, it really takes time. At some point, I couldn't go out if I was my husband or with friends without taking in picture like what I was eating, And it's annoying.
Yeah, it is. And you have to try to find those boundaries, where you turn on and turn off. And, I came across a post on Instagram the other day from one of my colleagues, and she was talking about the importance of like batching time. Because I think everybody who has some kind of brand, they do that. Like they're eating or they're out on a date or they're out with their spouse, and the beautiful food comes and they are like, oh, this will be great for my story. And so it's important, what she was highlighting was that she has days of the week where she knows like Thursdays are content days. And so she'll go out to the nice restaurants, or she'll go out, to her local farm or wherever and take her photos and enjoy, and let that be her day where she can do as much social media posting or as much social media logging as she needs to. But then the rest of the time is just with her and her family. And it's so interesting that we have to do that in order to stay sane, because you can't be on all the time. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to the people who are in relationship with you. And it's not fair to your brand, because your brand wants the fresh and excited you, not the you that's just doing it out of compulsion because I have to do this. So
Exactly. And
yeah.
it's hard. It's sometimes it's not, it's the boundaries between being work and it being pleasure.
Yes.
It's really, really, really thin. It's really hard to like to deal with this boundary, because you want it to be pleasant, you want it to be a fun experience. But yeah, sometimes it's work, and sometimes I work with brand, I shoot something for them, I clean it up, I cook, I spend hours in this, and they don't like it, you know
Right.
they don't like it, and I have to do it again, and I'm like, and I take it personally. I'm like, they don't like my work and they don't like what I do. But on the other hand, like I would be the same, if I want I want the best I can get.
Yeah. Yeah. Picking up, yeah, brushing it off and continuing to go at it. That tenacity and that fire is also a big part of who you need to be to survive. So
Yeah.
that's really important. And so for the women out there who may be struggling with personal things, and I think again from my perspective as a coach, I hear it all. I hear the women who are weeping because of their marital problems while they're trying to build a brand, or fertility, or trying to build a family, or going through the adoption process, or unexpectedly getting pregnant, and the
Yeah.
whole bit. I hear it from my end. And so I just really would love to hear what advice you might have for them if they're going through an emotional challenge and setback, but they also know they need to show up every day for their business. What advice would you give them as they're going along their journey?
I would really, really, really tell them to find what makes them feel good when they're not like working and focusing on their business. Like work is important, but you need something that is going to make you feel good on the side. And sometimes work is not making you feel good because it's frustrating. If you have something on the side, if you have like, your husband with who you go out, if you have like a hobby, like, I don't know, swimming, dancing, really do as much thing that could make you feel good. Like for me, I was really struggling, and I felt like, like I really felt a hole. I really felt an emptiness because I want a baby so badly. So I got a dog, and it's not a baby, but she feels a hole. Like she doesn't feel it completely. I still want a baby, but it helps. And I've been feeling much better. I've been so much better at at working. I've been so much more focused and better because she brought me so much joy. So this is my thing. This is just an example. But I spoke to other women who told me like they love dancing, they love ballet. So yeah, take a ballet class every night if you have to.
Mhm.
Do you? Do
Mm.
you?
Very well said, Kelly. Thank you so much for blessing us today with your story and with your experiences. I am quite sure it will help so many women. As we come to close, I just have two more questions for you. And the next one is just if you were looking back and talking to your 10-year younger self, what advice would you give her?
I would tell her, don't take no for an answer and that's something my husband told me when we first met. He told me, don't take no for an answer because if you really want something, you're going to get it.
Mm.
And if you don't get it, it's maybe because it just didn't make sense. Every time I wanted something and it didn't happen, I don't regret it not happening because I fought for it. But no is super easy to say today. We get no's all the time in business, in social life, in relationships. No's. If I had listened to all the people who told me that I wasn't capable of doing anything I wanted to, I wouldn't be here today.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Kelly Cohen, where can our audience find you? Plug your links and how they can support you if they're going to go further with you on this journey.
Yay! Please follow me at My Organic Diary on Instagram, and I also have my blog linked on my Instagram. So please follow me, reach out, say hi, ask questions. Really, I answer every single message I do because it's so important for me to connect with my followers. So please reach out with any question and send me an email. I'm so open, and I love being in touch with all of you.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. I can't wait to have you back on the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it. Thanks so much for listening to the show today. And as always, for more resources as you continue to live out your beautiful mission of healing the world and grow your beautiful business, you can head to www.shehealstheworld.com/freebie to see what new resources I have in store for you. Thanks for listening. Tell a friend, and I can't wait to see you at the next episode.